how daunting of a process it was for the state to develop an entirely new regulatory framework for a brand new industry. Two, how aggressive and incredibly powerful, the financial interests behind this, and not only how powerful they were, but they were the experts. They were the go-to experts in the policy-making process. And three, how difficult, we were watching this kind of move through the policy-making process, and how difficult to ensure minimal protections were in place. So just really quickly, we're a citizen-led organization. We have operated so leanly, you would not believe. We've all volunteered our time, 40 to 60 hours a week on this. We've gone to all of our friends. We've gotten resources. Probably one of the most important things we ever did was to hire some legal and policy expertise, a highly reputable law firm in Denver, which today we may not have been able to hire them because almost every law firm is representing marijuana interests. Our sole focus is protecting kids by minimizing the unintended consequences. Our supporters include those who voted for and against marijuana legalization, and our nonpartisan efforts have been endorsed by Colorado's 4 living ex-governors. And I gotta just tell you something, I disagree with Chris, who was here earlier, who was absolutely awesome. Believe me, we would not have continued our efforts if we don't feel like we can make a difference. And the fact that you guys are all in this room and came to something for a day, this is unbelievable, because nobody ever dreamed what's happened would happen. And we don't have a lot of time here. These are just things that we worked on. This presentation will be up on our website along with everyone else's so that you can download, you can send this to other people. These are all the successes that we worked on. A lot of the data collection, I know it's minimal, but it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the efforts of our organization, the testing, the labeling, the packaging. I mean, every aspect that's been a protection, our fingers have been on. And I'm just gonna whip through this really quick. We brought the attention about the edibles with the billboard that cost us about $2,000. We're in 400 media outlets throughout the world. People are watching, they are following. They will listen if we speak up. And media is looking for people to talk to, but the only go-to people have been the folks in the industry. 2015, we fought, I don't know if you heard about the edibles, oh my gosh, just to make it sure, just so you'd know if there was marijuana in a product. But this is awesome. As of October 1, that will have to be on the packaging and actually on the candies. Unfortunately, there's some exemptions, but what it does is it gets the conversation about THC, which is the one that harms the brain, which is what we need to be talking to our kids and the community about. And as far as protecting kids, we all know if the adults aren't informed, the kids aren't informed, and we speak in front of groups, and believe me, we want to do more. I mean, our bandwidth has been very thin, but people are shocked. They did not know that these products would come out of this. I mean, they're all picturing, marijuana from the past, not the products that are being innovated and the accessories and the intake methods. So I'm just gonna, I know you're dying. What time is it? Everyone's dying to leave. But one thing we've been advocating really big for, and Allie from CDPHE and Leo, you guys there in the room, they've been helping with the statewide education, and there we've got a link to the educational materials. Once again, there's some materials out there, but people don't know, right? And one thing we've been advocating for is standardization and education when we talk about potency, because there's tremendous confusion between the low to zero potency marijuana that people, that has been associated with helping kids with seizures, and the high THC potency that's become the norm. And included in that is the low to zero THC potency that's been tied to helping athletes and adults with pain. The whole Jake Plummer thing. This is low THC potency. It is completely different than the norm on Colorado's commercial market right now. And what we learned through this process is what a lot of you guys have been saying, and a lot of these states are looking to learn from Colorado, is we learned there's a big difference between decriminalizing and legalizing small amounts of marijuana in the privacy of someone's home or a private setting and no one going to jail, and full-blown profit-driven commercialization. Unfortunately, as you've heard over and over, Colorado has done All of that and more, we, as everyone has said, we have the most expensive marijuana. It's been implemented, the most expansive marijuana policy in the world. And you've heard all about how many there are. There's been a tremendous amount of state resources spent on setting up these really important but licensing structures. And there's a lot of inconsistencies in the structures, as you heard. There's the caregiver system, there's the medical marijuana, there's the recreational. And a lot of the tax money, as you've heard too, it has not ended up being a boon. As Andrew Friedman, who's really the marijuana czar in our state, has said, a lot of it has gone to legalization. And a lot of our educators, as we heard today, I know a lot of the superintendents in my area too, are saying, you know, all we've gotten from marijuana is more marijuana. So, but the fact that you've got people speaking up, that you've got that are people that are coming to this room and speaking up and they're concerned, this is a game changer. People were not paying attention, and they haven't been paying attention. But momentum, people are starting to feel it. And so really, we can make a difference on this. So I'm just gonna, a lot of this you've heard today, so I'm going to skip over all this. You heard about potency, really getting that THC potency test requiring, getting that in legislation, that there was a study on that. I think that's one of the most profound things that Smart Colorado accomplished, because everyone was saying, we don't know. And we keep saying that about a lot of things, right? And we don't know, but we can educate on what we know and what we don't know. And that's what we need to do. So I'm just going to kind of skip through here. You've heard a lot of this. Heard a lot about the products. You've heard about how challenging enforcement is. So what can we do about it? So by being involved in the policy making process, you can tell there's a lot of things that need to be done. But if we really say, okay, if we want to protect our kids and our communities, what are the highest priorities? And we feel like it's limit commercialization, limit potency, and limit harms. And by that we mean, let's applaud all those cities and counties that opted out. That was huge. And I've met with kids, hundreds and hundreds of kids throughout the state. And you know how much that means to them? To know that their community stood for them. And the message in these communities where it's really loosey-goose and it seems like everybody's in cahoots with the marijuana industry, I mean, they feel that. They know that. And these kids are begging. I can't tell you, they are begging for our leadership. They are scared. They are watching what's going on, and they're concerned, but they're looking for adults to step up on this, because if we find it hard, if we're bullied, which let me tell you, we have been bullied. We have had death threats. I won't even begin to tell you what's happened to our core leadership team that has worked on this. And I know Pueblo's experience, I know Denver's experience, I know a lot of people in this room, I know doctors that took a leap. Just the fact that you stood up here and said what you said, I was like, amazing. And I know doctors that talked to NPR, they did some interviews for us, and he came back to me and said, never again. I have been crucified on social media and I've gotten death threats. But you know what? We're beyond that, because we have a lot of people now watching, and we have a lot of people willing to step up. So just really quickly, we can urge, everybody can urge your city council folks, if they've opted out, applaud them, support them, because let me tell you, they may not stay opted out for long. And if they've moved ahead with commercialization, they should strictly enforce it. As you heard today, every city and county not only could opt out of marijuana, but they could time, place, and manner, which is huge. You've got a lot of leeway in that. Prohibit public on-site social use. This is huge. As you heard, there's a Denver initiative. We should all oppose, and we should do everything we can. That is basically an initiative to allow alcohol and marijuana with absolutely no limits in any establishment, giving a permit to an individual or an establishment with very unstructured approval process. If you read that document, it is frightening, and we should all be concerned, because if it passes in Denver, the pressure in all the other cities and counties is going to be I mean, huge. Yeah, I don't know how to say that. I mean, we should really encourage transitioning our medical market more to a prescription drug model, which we have not done, right? But it can be done. And we need to hold the marijuana industry accountable for its marketing, advertising, and claims. I absolutely agree with your comment. We have been advocating this since 2013, but it's getting more and more attention. As you noticed today, people were talking about potency. No one knew what potency was in 2013. People are starting to get it. And our point has been, and we've asked the industry, okay, you don't like this level, you don't like this level, what level? What are you doing to be responsible? We need to hold them accountable, and there should be a limit on THC potency. Even in the Netherlands, the Dutch, I mean, they haven't, commercialized it like we have, but the Dutch government commissioned a team of health experts, and they concluded that marijuana over 15% should be treated as a hard drug. Just to put perspective on that. And once again, we need to urge our state policymakers and our public health experts, I mean, they need to put the pressure on the industry to what products, what potency, and what intake methods constitute safe, legal, responsible use, which is on our materials, our state materials. We need the answer to that. And whenever I question the industry, it's like everything's been trial by error. We need to ask some tough questions, and we need to hold people accountable. Limiting harms. We need to, just like what you heard, we need to get comprehensive data on the impacts. We've worked long and hard. I know the state's working long and hard. The state's behind because we weren't breaking out marijuana in a lot of areas, but we started to. As you heard, the schools, we started to. We need to address the challenges around enforcing drug driving and public intoxication, the suspicious deaths and injuries, including youth suicides. We need to be tracking that. Child endangerment and neglect. Marijuana is not broken out yet, and we need to be looking at the violations and citizen complaints, and we need to all make them. When we see it, we need to call. We need to call the state number, we need to call the number in our city and county. People have to know. Our state legislators, they're not hearing this. They're hearing from an army of lobbyists that are representing these interests. They are not hearing this. And the only way we got any of those protections were by kids, citizens, groups willing to come and testify, in taking time out of their day, just like you guys took the whole day out of your day to do this. That is what it took. Otherwise, none of them would have been achieved. We need to ensure the public has access to truthful information, what we know and what we don't know. And we need to fund education, just like everyone says, prevention efforts. I mean, the tobacco prevention efforts were very successful. And our youth use is at rates that people were in an outrage with tobacco, and they launched all the anti-tobacco campaigns. We just haven't gotten the public outrage on that yet. We need to fund the research to find out, to understand the risks of the high potency THC. And I'm going to shut up here. We need to enforce the laws when it comes to protecting the public. It's going to take courage, and it's going to take collective action, because this has been tough to talk about. It has been very controversial, which is crazy. We legalized it. We should be able to talk about it. I find it's harder now than it was, which is crazy. That's not okay. And then this just goes into what you can do. Again, your policymakers, the governor, the legislators, your city council people, they have to hear from you. It matters, and they are hearing from the marijuana industry. And also just sharing what you learned about marijuana today. We all assume everyone knows this. Most people are picturing the pot they puffed at college. Get these parents off the hook. This is not their pot. I know that's a hang-up of parents talking about it. This is nothing to do with them. This is about protecting kids today. And we feel like there's got to be a collective voice. If you guys would help support our efforts, and you could sign up and receive timely action alerts, which we notify when's the time to pick up that phone and call that state legislator. If you could follow us on Facebook and Twitter and share the information. We're definitely going to get all this up on our website so it can be downloaded. We hope to be more of a clearinghouse for information. We felt a little overwhelmed ourselves, And of course, donations are really welcome. But the other thing I want to point out, Paula, there's a group from Pueblo. Can you guys step up? These guys are amazing. They are amazing. You know, and all you guys from Pueblo, they have organized, yeah, unbelievable. They have organized a citizen group. We cannot even begin to tell you what they have gone through in their personal life and what has been thrown at them. If you want to donate to their cause, they are fighting against, they are trying to reverse the city council decision to allow marijuana commercialization in their town. Pure citizen driven, and you know they got a shot at this. They have a shot. And Pueblo, it's like, I don't know about you, but I can't live in a state where we're okay watching what's happening in Pueblo. I mean, that's crazy. So if you can support them at all, these guys are heroes. They've had a lot of really tough stuff they've been up against. And then of course in Denver, if you can spread the word on this, it's Initiative 300. Tell people, you know, let's get the marijuana, let's get the laws enforced before we start expanding it. That should be the message instead of the marijuana industry, instead of us, you know, just say, listen, enforcement first, and then we'll start looking at more opportunities. Instead of every problem we have, we just expand the law further. So I'm sorry, I talked too long, and I just want to thank Ken Fenn, hero, right? For organizing this, for having all these incredible speakers, for all the speakers that came. I mean, this seriously takes some courage. And also, I just want to recognize Henny Lasley. She's our executive director for Smart Colorado. Nicole Baumgardner, who does like all of our communications. I mean, these guys have been here from the start. From the start.